Okay, everyone, it's been a while, but today we've got the next instalment of our Ange Insights series. And today we're chatting to someone who has been a big part of Ange's backroom team. We're joined by Ante Milicic. Now, Ante enjoyed a stellar career as a forward with the likes of Sydney United, NEC Breda, Rijeka, Newcastle Jets and more. Since retiring just over a decade ago, he's become a coach and then a manager. He was last seen managing new A-League club MacArthur FC. But we're most interested in the spell that Ante spent with Ange Postecoglou with the Socceroos from 2014 to 2017. Now, Ante, you're back in Croatia, so we don't have to worry too much about the time difference here, which is a blessing for me. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Finish off the last season with MacArthur in Australia, and now we're back, myself and the family in Croatia, where obviously our roots are from. And this time of the year, it's a nice place to be.
Yeah, I dare say you're not suffering the same kind of coolie wind, rainy weather that we've got here in the summer in Scotland.
Yeah. So quite happy to be where I am at the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, let's get on to the stuff that people want to hear about then. I wanted to get you on just to do with the news of Harry Kewell coming to Celtic. Now, obviously, Harry Kewell, an Aussie coach / manager who's now coming to work with Ange Postecoglou, kind of came out of nowhere, really. We were a bit surprised when we heard about it. And I know that Ange has this reputation for bringing in Aussie coaches and furthering their careers, passing on some experience, giving them an opportunity. He did it with you. He's done it with numerous others. Hopefully he's going to do it with Harry Kewell as well. Just first of all, have you got any thoughts on the whole Kewell to Celtic working with Ange thing?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. Obviously Harry, being a very prolific player and goal scorer in his day, he really is a household name back in Australia. So now that he's finished his career, he's gone into coaching. He's had a few jobs, and now I think you just touched on it. Then Ange does like to give young up and coming coaches an opportunity. It's like his way of giving back to the game in Australia, and he's done that with so many. So I think it's very exciting. Not only for Harry, but also I think for Ange and for Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited about it. Just going back to your own experience with Ange, he approaches you, in the lead up to the 2014 World Cup to join his backroom team. What was your relationship with Ange prior to that? Did you have one?
Yeah, not so much. So I first sort of came across Ange in '97 when he was coaching in the old National League in Australia with South Melbourne. I was still a player playing against his team, and then my only other interaction I had with him was in 2001 when I played with the national team, and we had a month-long tour in New Zealand, and Ange was there, part of the coaching staff as that, under 20s young Socceroos coach, part of the senior team. So he was there. And then really after that, when my career finished and I got into coaching, probably looking about that 2009, 2010, I was an assistant coach, and I was, coming up against Ange's teams, most notably Brisbane Roar and Melbourne Victory, that he led in the A-League. So there wasn't a strong connection, but obviously as coaches, there's a little bit of small talk pre and post game. So that's probably where we're at the stage before he approached me in 2014.
So he would have been aware of you. How does he approach you?
Yeah, that's the thing with Ange. He's across so much that not a lot of people would be aware of, and whether that's us as coaches, as playing, as interviews that we do, he really has his finger on the pulse. And then I remember one day just receiving a text from Ange out of the blue. It was probably 3-4 months before the World Cup in Brazil, and he goes, "Hi, Ante, it's Ange. Just wondering if you've got time for a chat. And I'm thinking, well, Ange is giving you a call, wondering if I've got time for a chat. Yeah, I got plenty of time for a chat. And then he kind of rang me and he spoke a little bit about how he's just taken the job, obviously, as I knew, and he was looking to restructure the national team coaching staff, and he'd been following my coaching career from a distance, and he just asked if I'd be interested to be part of the journey. And naturally, as a young coach, looking at the work Ange had done, I saw it as a great opportunity if successful. And I remember clearly getting off the phone with him, and I was just so excited, but I really wanted to remain calm because, I initially thought that he would probably be speaking to 3 or 4 others and he'll have to conduct interviews. But I was fortunate after that initial call. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. And then he rang me up one day and he said, "Oh, Ante, have you thought about it?" And I go, "Yes, Angel, I've thought about it." He goes, "Well, what do you think?" I go, my position hasn't changed. He goes, "All right, no dramas. This is what we're going to do." So I went to the federation, signed the contract, and before I knew it, I started preparing for a World Cup in Brazil.
So does he have your number when he obviously has your number? Do you have his number, or does it come up Ange Postecoglou, or does it just come up a series of numbers?
I didn't have Ange's number. So it's quite easy to think it's a G up, when you get a text that it's Ange. But now that I've spent time with Ange, and whenever you text Ange, his replies aren't always just the basic stock standard 3 words reply. They're just so well written, and there's always a thought behind it. So his initial text, not that I can remember exactly what it was, but it just sounded too intelligent.
Yeah.
That it wasn't genuine, if you know what I mean. So that's why I kind of took it for what it was.
Fantastic. So we know what he wants from his players. He wants full commitment. He wants you to better yourself every single day, to go out of your comfort zone. Is it the same with a coach? Very much so.
Out of your comfort zone. You cannot waste a drill at training. We've got to achieve the outcomes that he sets out for his team and his style. And it's the best thing about working for Ange is that everything's so clear, and he creates an environment where you just don't want to let him down, or the team, or the organisation. And on the flip side, there is an element of the knife is on the throat though as well. It's not. It's he doesn't micromanage. He gives you that I wouldn't say freedom, but he trusts your ability to do your role. But as I said, it's he creates a really positive and professional work environment that I was fortunate enough to experience for 4 years with Ange.
And we know now, it's well documented, the distance that he keeps between himself and the players. I take it you're a bit closer as a coach.
Yeah, and that probably wasn't the case initially, but over time you build that relationship. And I think it's a little bit different with the national team because there's a larger pool of players that you have to monitor over longer periods, and they all come from different clubs, different countries, different playing styles, different philosophies. So you really don't get to work with them, as much as you'd like. So yes, that relationship is a little bit closer, but at the same time, over the years I worked with Ange, there's not that, hanging around the lobby having coffees. You're not seeing Ange on the last day that we're there, going into shopping malls or in the gym or just sort of walking around. He's very professional. A lot of times he's in his room, he does his job, but at the same time, a lot of times we're together, the technical staff together, planning what we do. And we actually did a lot of our planning in Melbourne. He would often fly myself and another colleague, Pete Klomowski, and us three would often meet in Melbourne and spend a couple of days there with a massive video screen and laser pointers and clips and notes and laptops and go over everything. So as you'd expect, a very thorough process. But as I said, over time, the relationship got closer. Yeah,
he took on, as I said at the start, a lot of Aussie coaches. Yourself, you mentioned Pete there, numerous others. Harry Kewell now. There was actually a really good article written by our good friend Vince Regari on it called the University of Ange, I think he called it, that I'll link below. What do you think Ange gets out of doing that?
Well, he gets a lot. Obviously, as I touched on, he feels like he has so much to offer to us Australian coaches and football, and this is a way of repaying them. But I think also for Ange, he always will get a perspective that he believes that can help the organisation that he's working for as well. So, he won't just, identify anyone, I believe. There has to be something that will help him get his message across, help improving his side. That's I think is very important. And also, I feel that when he chooses a character, that's also something that he spends a lot of time looking at, because the way he works is very specific and it's got to be the right fit. Particularly now, if you look at Celtic now with defending champions, automatic qualification into Champions League. I think there's a tour to Australia as well. There's just a lot of work there. So maybe there's a little bit of that, why there's a reason that Harry comes in as well. But one thing I do know after working with Ange for all those years is that when he makes a decision, there's been a strong thought process behind it.
Yeah. You obviously learned so much from working on him. You've gone on to manage at a pretty good level. Is there one thing in particular that you would say you learned that comes to your mind most?
There's a lot, but one thing that really stood out to me was that how strongly he believes in his way of playing and his philosophy, and that makes it so clear, not only for the playing group but for the staff. You've got to be on that journey, and it's unwavering. It stays that way, and it brings him success, and he will see clearly who's on that path with him. But in saying that, I mean, I can't narrow it down to one thing. Working with Ange was my PhD in coaching. And when he left the national team in 2017, I felt that I was so not confident. I was so thankful for Ange for working with him for all those years that I actually felt like I'm ready to take on any job. I felt I'd developed such a strong skill set in so many facets of the game that's important that, I can't thank him enough.
It's amazing when we chat to you. We've spoken to numerous other people in this series, Ryan McGowan, Matt Smith, his good friend Andy Harper. Nobody has a bad word to say about him. That you feel as if he leaves a lasting legacy with almost everyone that he works with. It's crazy.
It is, and that was the fascination for me, because before I started coaching in 2008, and I did my own, head coaching role in a second division team. Then I went to 2 World Youth Cups as an assistant coach, and then I was an assistant coach at a couple of A-League clubs. And the one thing that interested me from afar was, how does he get his team to play like this? It sounds simple, but when you can bring that onto the field, and to win games and win the way he wants to win and play football, and winning's the end result. of his process. And I'll never forget, there was a clip with Brisbane Roar. They were at home, 50,000 people, grand final, best team all year. Last second of the game, they were down 2-1, and their goalkeeper had the ball. And even the commentator said, surely Brisbane Roar's got to go long here. They didn't. I don't know how many teams would have gone long, because everyone would go forward. They'll put their centre back forward, and then they would just go long, look for a second ball. They played out. They ended up winning a corner down the other end, and they got an equaliser in the, now I'm saying 93rd, 94th minute to go on and draw, and then ultimately win a game of football. But his way of bringing that belief into the players is incredible. And that was the biggest attraction to me, to yes, work with Ange, yes, to go to a World Cup, but to get inside with him and to understand how do you coach that? How do you bring that to life? How do you get the buy-in from so many players and staff that it doesn't change? And it's incredible.
Yeah, incredible is a word I think all Celtic fans would use for what we've witnessed. Just touching on Brisbane Roar, when we spoke to Matt Smith, who was Ange's captain there, he said an interesting thing, that whenever, obviously you didn't get much from Ange really, you wouldn't really have too many one-on-one conversations with him, but even when you spoke to his coaching staff, the messaging would be the same as what Ange said. Now, is that something that he kind of engineered with his coaching staff, or was it natural?
Well, it has to be, otherwise you don't last with Ange. Like I said, he has a clear way how he believes the game needs to be played, or will be played the way he sees it. And you have to have that same football language. That's the same. And you have to believe in it. It has to be genuine. And as I said, that's the only way you can be successful in the whole organisation. And that was the beauty of it. When you look with the national team, how much staff we had. And I'm not only talking about the technical staff, I'm also talking about the sports science, the medical staff as well. It's so clear, and to achieve those outcomes, that's how it needs to be.
Yeah. I wanted to chat about team talks. How good were his team talks?
Oh, incredible! Like
best you've kind of had
by far. As in, like, we used to say, even before the video, the clip that came out, we used to just say, like, someone needs to video some of his sessions and just get it out. He could be Al Pacino on the TV or in the movies. It's just, and the frustrating thing for us was he used to do it on game day. It was very much the players. So we'd have a meeting just before lunch, and he would sort of name the team and do this talk. And then typically the game's at night, so you'd have your meal, go back to your rooms, possibly have a sleep pre-match, and then go to the game. And a lot of us would be, trying to go to sleep, and your head was just buzzing from his talk. And you're thinking, the game's still 6 hours kickoff. Why is he not saying this just before we're walking out? But
going to try and headbutt the wall and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you just wanted to run through the wall for him. And I've spoken to Tommy, and he said that they have done a couple of those talks before the games.
I've been told you're a good guy to ask about team talks, being in the room when Ange is there.
Yep.
Every team talk was different under Ange. Do you think he practiced them at home?
He has to, because you can't deliver that just. And you know what? There's always a message. There's always a theme, and he always gets you.
Yeah,
always gets you. He nails them. It's remarkable. And I used to always actually write notes in the back of the room, because I would like to refer back to what he said. And I also used to, after every international game, go into his press conferences as well, because they were also fascinating. But the way he would find a theme for a game, and the way he would deliver that message, and sometimes it was always different. Sometimes he would just speak. Sometimes he would include some video. Sometimes there would be some keynote. Sometimes he would bring an object into the room. But he always used to do them before lunch, and we didn't see too much of him in that morning. But the way he delivered it, and that eye contact, and the variation in the tone of his voice, and he captured the whole room. It's, wow. Well, and actually, I thought, gee, that's such a powerful tool of Ange's. I go, that's such an advantage I felt for us as a team. And I thought, gee, I wonder how he's going to go in Japan. Because he's going to have a translator, and you can't translate that. You can't copy that. And that English isn't the first language of those Japanese players. But there you go. In his second season, he won the league. So either he had a great translator or his players understood perfect English. But he gets them.
Yeah. I think he's quoted as saying that he was forced to simplify his message in Japan because of the language barrier, and he actually said that's an advantage to him now because he can get his message across in even quicker, even simpler terms, and it fills me with so much confidence. We're going to go into the Champions League playing against the best teams in Europe, and I know that guy is going to say the right thing before the game to get the players in the right mindset to go out. It's amazing. Is there one that springs out at all if any of his team talks?
Oh, he did an excellent one. There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many. But, gee, he produced one in, I'll tell you now, June 2017. We were in Russia for the Confederations Cup playing Chile, and it was Timmy's 100th game. Incredible. Talking about Timmy, how he started his career, where he came from, the people that were along the ride throughout his journey, what he's become, what he means to the game in Australia and around the world, how he defined the odds. Wow. And let me tell you, what a reaction we got. If you ever want to watch a first half of football where we've taken the game to an opponent that was back then, I think they were a top 10 side. Wow. Gee, we played some really good games, extended passages of football under Ange with the national team against some really good opponents. And a lot of that just goes down to his strong belief in his philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, we're excited for the Champions League to see Celtic playing against these best teams and just know that Ange isn't going to waver in his game plan at all. Did he often use the media writing the players off in these team talks? Maybe not necessarily the media, but just the players being written off.
Not so much the media, but you have to understand, in Australia as players and coaches, football's not the number one sport in Australia, right? And even in Europe, a lot of us that go overseas, whether that's players and coaches, not that we expect the red carpet waiting for us, but it's difficult to get an opportunity overseas and as Australian player and coaches. So you have to go through a lot of adversity and setbacks to get to where you are. That's why Ange's coaching path is extraordinary when you look a little bit deeper into the history. So I think that's also a reason why he has that little bit of I wouldn't say an obligation, but that's why he feels that there's a little bit, if he can help give back to the game to some of these Australian coaches, he will, because he understands where everyone's come from. And, we don't get afforded too many opportunities around the world. So, I wouldn't say he would talk about the media, but he would definitely remind the players where they came from, who they're playing for today, and who was there when it all started. And like I said, the way he goes into detail was credit to him to have that creative imagination, because some of the things that he speaks about and comes up with, you don't understand. Where did he get that angle from? Yeah, I don't know.
He must think about football 90% of his life.
He's not normal.
No.
Yeah, and I guess we all are, but he's worked so hard. And he's taken the stairs in his career to get to where he is. So he's making the most of it, and the exciting thing for Celtic fans is he's got more to give. You've touched on it about you're excited about what he wants to achieve, in the Champions League. That he's having a crack. Doesn't matter who you draw, who you're playing against. is going to make those Celtic players think that they're the best in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, they'll take the game to anyone, anytime, under any circumstances, and that's what I loved. That's what I love, because that's what you want to watch as a coach when you spend so long preparing a team, but also as a player when you put your whole life towards your career, and it's a short career span. That, you know, when match day comes, you know, you've got the ball, you're involved, you're creating chances, you're playing in the opposition half. That's the enjoyment. It's a great style of football to be a part of, and it's proven that it works, that it's successful.
Yeah. I mean, I think Celtic fans all see this now, what an incredible manager we've got. For me, and you know, people may laugh at this, you know, given that he's managing in Scotland, I think he's an elite level manager, one of the top 10, 15, 20 in the world at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. I think, you know, you would see that, a lot of Aussies would see it, people in Japan would see it as well, and I think it's a matter of time before the rest of the world sees it. Given that you've worked with him, how highly do you rate Ange Postecoglou?
Well, you've just touched on it, and everything you just said, I agree with you. I looking from this, I couldn't understand that it took this long for a club to take a punt on him. You know, I thought it would happen so much sooner. I remember when with the national team, we had some, as I said, good performances. You know, his football is his CV. That's clear with Ange, and I think, you know, for the supporters of Celtic, just enjoy the ride now while he's there, because you know, he's such a good manager, and hopefully he's with Celtic for many years. However, there's no ceiling with Ange, and you know, I wouldn't consider myself a football expert, but I've watched a hell of a lot of football. You know, live, good quality, good level. I've been around, you know, a lot of clubs in Europe and a lot of major tournaments, and then what I see Ange can deliver, there's a lot of respect in terms of that, and I think it's only a matter of time before many people also realise his levels.
Well, Ante, it's been a pleasure to have you on and get some more insight on Ange. All the best. Enjoy the Croatian summer, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and all the best to Celtic for the upcoming season. And I look forward to, you know, following it from afar. All the best.